Hey, everybody, fellow toolboxers. Thanks for joining us in episode number 319. A real good one. We have one of the best immigration lawyers in the game, Natalia Polukhtin, with us. I want to talk about biz immigration, particular some updates that happened with the Corporate Transparency Act, but also get to know her background stuff. So it's a must listen to. I've had a lot of people contact me saying they're fans of hers and her work. So I'm like, I think she has a really good lifestyle brand too, a lifestyle firm. So I just hopped in my mind, ask her about her travels and stuff like that. But I want to thank everyone who saw us saw me at the AILA conference. It was a lot of fun. I got to remind you, if you haven't emailed me, if I asked you to email me so we connect better, please do so I could just stay in touch with you. Also want to thank our sponsor, was pretty much the main sponsor at AILA, e-immigration by Serenade. They're wonderful software that helps with case management, form management, and a lot more. They're really at the cutting edge of AI. So it's a real good software to get to know. Contact them. To get to set up a time, look at their software material, get to know them as people to see what you think. And I think you'll be pleasantly surprised with what services they offer and how friendly they are. So e-immigration by Serenade, a very good sponsor. That's always been very helpful just in practice and everything else. So having said all that, none of this intended for individual legal guidance. Consult with an attorney. If you're a non-attorney, listen to this. But this podcast is professionals and trade members. So let's jump into it. Natalia, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thanks so much. So let's jump into how you got to immigration law. Kind of where are you right now? What part of you're in Arizona? Is that right?
Yes, Scottsdale, Arizona, the most beautiful place on the planet.
That's good.
You
How
should
hot is
come
it
and
there?
visit. Just don't come in June.
Just don't come in June because right now it's in LA where I'm at. It's getting really hot. What are the numbers you're getting over there?
Like around 110.
Oh my God, I drink. For those who listen to audio, I was about to spit out the tea I'm drinking, but 110. Oh my God. So AC is just on nonstop, I'm guessing.
Yes, but if you don't like our summer, you do not deserve our winter. So summer is
Okay.
great, but I mean, it's a very short time period.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. So let's jump into it. How did you get into immigration law?
Well, I guess through the personal story, as many of us, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm an immigrant myself. I'm originally from Russia, born and raised in Moscow, got my first education in Moscow, came to the United States to teach communication studies. So my first degree was in communication studies. I'm kind of a professional of bringing the message to people. So I thought I can capitalize on that. And I filed my own immigration case. I got denied, as many of us do, like when we try to work with the system on our own. So
Is it
I got
family-based
denied,
or
and
employment-based case?
it was employment-based
Okay.
case,
Well, that's
yes,
complicated.
and like it was pretty complicated case. So I tried and I got denied, and instead of hiring a lawyer, I did another stupid things. I filed an appeal. And on appeal, somehow I got approved. I don't know how it happened, but I got approved. So I thought, okay, since I can do it for myself, I probably can do it for other people. So I
Yeah.
dropped out of academia and went to law school, and here I am. So I guess I'm a person who went to law school specifically to practice business immigration, like
Wow.
with that particular purpose.
If you know which way you're going, because so many immigration lawyers kind of like fell into it, and it's or they want to go into humanitarian stuff. That's what draws them, but a very specific employment based. That's unique. Like to know ahead of time though where you're going with it.
Yeah, I have lots of respect for people who go like into humanitarian immigration. I tried. I
Yeah.
really tried, and I sometimes still take pro bono cases that relate to humanitarian and asylum usually,
Yeah.
but it's not my major thing right now.
I hear you. Did you start working for somebody? Or did you launch your own firm?
Oh, that's another stupid thing that I've done. Like out of law school, I immediately opened my door and I started taking immigration cases. Thanks God, I had like pretty good mentors. Like I was like mentored by best people in the industry. I still have like tremendous respect for them and for their patience. Dale Schwartz, now late, but I mean, he
Yeah.
was great. He held my hand like all the time. And when I was signing my first G28 and when I was like freaking out over our fees, he always helped me.
But
So
Dale
it was good.
Schwartz is one of the leaders of AILA and top immigration. Like he passed away, I think 2 or 3 years ago. It's very fairly recent,
About
right?
3 years ago, yes. But he used to be a president of AILA. He's like
Yeah.
pretty big person.
Unfortunately, I never got
I
him on the
still
show,
talk
but
about him in present time. It's like hard to believe he's not
God
here.
bless his soul. And how did you get him as a mentor? Because a lot of people want that, but they're shy or don't know who to ask. Or how did you get to know him and
Well,
ask questions?
I just emailed him cold turkey, and I mean, he was gracious enough. I was in law school in Georgia, so I
Hmm.
graduated from law school there. Not Georgia County, Georgia State, obviously.
I see.
And Dale, he practiced in Atlanta. So I started volunteering for Ayla once I was like in a second grade, second 2L, like second year of law school. And I guess I met him at the conference and I started talking to him and he's like, wow, like you know a lot about immigration law for a student. And like, okay,
Yeah.
yes, because I went through the system. So I started emailing him, asking questions, and he was teaching a class, I believe, at Emory back then. So he was responding, and he even like was cool enough to offer me a job out of law school. I just didn't take
Wow.
it because I always wanted to be on my own. Yeah, and he was cool with that. He like still like, okay, yeah, go do your thing.
Yeah.
So he
You
was
know,
great.
at the ALO conference this year, were you there by any chance? Did you go to
Yes, of
Chicago?
course.
I'm sorry to run each other, but there were so many 2Ls and 3Ls there, and I was like, wow, these people are really ahead of the game because they're making all the connections and everything ahead of time. They're really going to go fast as your career has been. So you started your own law firm. How long ago was this?
It will be 13 years now.
13 years. Okay. And
Yep.
so started law firm, and then you jumped into it. How did you start getting your first clients?
Okay, another stupid thing that I've done. I moved to Arizona. Like no connections here, no like work prospects, no family, nobody. I just fall in love with Arizona and I said, okay, it's a cool state to be. So out of law school, I passed the bar in Georgia, moved to Arizona. And everybody here is saying you need to take on removal defense because it's a border
Yeah.
state. You need to do removal defense. So like I went ahead and I opened my office in the same building where immigration court was, and I
Mm,
put like a shingle on my door, abogada de inmigración. Like people who come there without a lawyer, they see their sign, they, okay, yeah, let's go here. And they started hiring me for removal defense. And about 2 years down the road, like I had like two kids in elementary school back then. My
yeah.
kid said like at school, mom cannot come for that parent teacher conference because mom is in jail. And like when I finally made it to the school, they looked at me with huge respect. They're like, wow, mom came out of jail, mom is cool. And I realized I cannot do it anymore. Like I
Yeah.
cannot be in jail when I need to be at home with my kid and like not miss that ballet recital or whatever it might
Yeah.
be. So I kind of transitioned to business immigration and went out like my removal defense. Still have like lots of colleagues, lots of friends working in that field, and they're great. I'm
Well,
just not that great, I guess.
if you're in the immigration court and they came without lawyers, they show up, that must be the messiest kind of cases possible if they're when it comes to removal, like you're dealing with, like the clientele
We're
and the
talking about like 2011, Obama administration.
okay.
Like everybody comes to the court hoping the case to be thrown out, like the case closed, like I'm a
Yeah.
good person, I stayed here for 30 years, I didn't violate any laws, so just help him with the admin closure. So I guess I got there on right time and I was okay. So
Yeah.
I wasn't too traumatized. I just realized that mentally I'm more equipped dealing with businesses and business people. And I understand that I cannot win like every single case, though I have pretty high approval rate. So
Yeah.
when I do not win, I do not feel that guilty, I guess. I can still sleep at night because when I
Yeah.
talk to people, I mean, they risk their money, but they're not risking their status and their entire life. And like,
Yeah.
okay, my dad is deported. What do we do now? Um, I guess it's like mentally easier for me to handle it.
Yeah. Well, the same here. Like, it's like almost doing surgery every day, and your client's passing away on you, and you have a high chance of dying or something like that. But still, it weighs on you. So, really, God bless people who are doing it every day, day out. I couldn't do it either. So, I do family based, primarily marriage kind of stuff. I used to EB1 and NIW, still do it, but those are very time consuming. But I have 3 kids now. I intentionally wanted to stay at home and help the kids and have the flexibility. So, USCIS stuff is the way to go. So okay, so you started business stuff. What and do you do full business or what kind of business cases do you do?
I do everything that deals with money. Like as I always tell my clients, like I love money unconditionally. It's like my unconditional love. Like whatever you do, if it brings you money, I can get you an immigration case. So naturally, it's like primarily E2s and EB5s because this is
Yeah.
where people invest money. But I also like L1s, EB1Cs. If I do EB1A or national interest waiver, it's usually extraordinary ability in business or some sort of a business venture,
Yeah.
and I love it. I mean, it's great. It's like intersection of a corporate law. It's clean, it's white collar, and I know how to talk to those people.
Mhm. I'm experienced right now because we expanded to do a lot. they kind of lower the NIW standard where if you're STEM, they become more flexible. So we got a bunch of these, and then we have to stop accepting cases because we're slammed with these cases. And between getting documents from people and stuff, I'm like, my firm isn't like fully equipped technology wise and team wise to handle this volume of stuff. How is your team designed to handle the document collection for an EB1A, for example, or EB5 is its own mess? Like, how, to extend you talk about your business structure and stuff, how many people you have, or what kind of support do you have?
Okay, there are only 6 of us. It's very easy to manage when there are like not lots of people.
Yeah.
Maybe I will grow one day, but right now I don't see it happening because, voltage effect. I do not see that like every single concept needs to be scaled up. And my concept is good right now. And honestly, I have like a wait list of people. Like I have a wait list of people who are willing to pay deposit now and wait for like 3-4 months until we start working on the case because they want me, they don't want somebody else. So I guess my secret ingredient, and I know it's like super unpopular opinion, I do not have a single remote employee. Never had.
Really?
Like even during pandemic, like we worked in the office.
Yeah.
We were like under that exception provided by Arizona government for legal service providers. So we came to the office, and I see every case as a cooperative effort. So we are like technology equipped, obviously. We have like a docket wise, we have like all the things that we have, but on the top of it, I also have a tracking system. I know exactly what every single person in my office is doing at single second. Like if client asks who worked on my case and who did what, I can print out the report and he or she will see like that exactly there was a work done that we promised to do.
How long did it take you to set up that system, especially the technology component and figuring out how to put it all together?
I would say like a couple of years of trial and error. We did all that stupid things that everybody does, like expensive software that duplicates functions from one to another, like all these things. So I trimmed everything, and I learned like at that ILA conference, there is a term technology stack. So you basically pick up good functions from different things. You do not need to have like universal software to cover everything. So I have like one thing to track my employees, one thing to track the time and do billing, like one thing to do forms, and one thing for client's portal. But it works beautifully for me.
Wonderful. The reason I asked is because I pretty much built up a team. It's still small in yours. And I think for immigration law, there's a reason why most of them are small. There's just a different experience that people need to have for clients. But I just stopped everything. I'm like, let me just figure out the tech. I'll spend 3 months on it, a quarter on it. 6 months later, in full time working on this stuff, I'm like, oh my God, every time something's fixed, something else broken, and I get this, that, and it's been, I finally made it enough to function as we're doing to go back to marketing more and just like doing other stuff. But the tech component is like you said, a couple of years. I was really happy. I'm like,
well, don't feel bad because I mean, like you should have technology that helps you, right? If your staff like spends all time not working but trying to figure out how to make that technology work, it's terrible. It's a bad technology, right? We usually subscribe to some trial period and we try something for a week, and I see the frustration here, like nobody knows what to do with it. Okay, just drop it, go back to our like old trusted toggle system or something.
Makes sense. So one of the main reasons I wanted to contact you is because you did a wonderful article that is a must read. It's called Ethical Challenges for Immigration Lawyers in the New Era of Corporate Transparency. There's new corporate transparency. It's AILA doc number 240-40975. Again, that's 240-40975. The 40 part is double. And it's from April, so it's very recent. My associate sent it to me, and I was like, "Oh, let me read this." And I read it. I'm like, "Oh my God, I got to stop doing any corporate docs after this." So, can you talk about? I mean, you're in Arizona. Obviously, the corporate part sometimes is state-based. You don't have to go through the whole article, but just your thoughts on the wildness of this new CTA, the Corporate Transparency Act, and how it affects us.
So here's the thing: like, I love talking about ethics. I've been on like AILA National Ethics Committee for a few years now, and this is my passion. And everything that I try to touch, like, I try to deconstruct it from the ethics perspective. When I saw that thing, it was exactly like your thought. Like, I'm not touching corporate formation ever again because it's bad. It's like really bad. And the problem is when FinCEN started implementing it, they started talking about it like a couple of years ago, maybe like 3-4 years ago. And they talked about it so much, like they cried wolf so often. Then when it finally happened, nobody pays attention. And it like really, really upsets me. Like, people should pay attention to that stuff because it's major, it's big. Like if you ever register a company, what basically it does, it creates an obligation to report beneficial owners of the company on ongoing basis, not like a one-time reporting. It's
Yeah.
ongoing obligation. And when you look at it from ethics perspective, okay, what is your malpractice carrier going to say about it? You are basically exposing yourself to malpractice liability once you form the company. And you may be like doing some immigration services, as we said, like E2 or L1. You formed the company in this state. And forever, ever, you're on a hook to updating that record and advising your client about new implications.
Yeah.
Shall we go into like basics of Corporate Transparency Act?
No, I'll let people read the article because I want to talk with you, immigration lawyer, and it's going to the corporate stuff. I'm like, if you have any particular thing you want to mention, let me know. But I kind of just want to go into just how life is. I mean, is there a big thing, that topic you want to talk about on there? I set it out like we're going to talk about this, but when I meet another immigration attorney, I like just breaking down actual practice on life as an immigration lawyer, so I get caught off track. But yeah, if there's some major points you could mention, it'd be good.
So basically what it does, once you created that company, and if you done it after January 1st, 2024, you become like a reporting agent for that entity. And as a reporting agent, you have like a duty, which is governed by duty of competence, to make sure that you know who beneficial owners of that company are, and make sure that they are reporting their status regularly and updating that status with FinCEN. I mean, it's understandable. They want to know about who owns business entities in the United States. However, how practical it would be for you if you are like a structuring a company for O1 or L1, updated every 30 days once you like created a new job description for the manager or something like that. So I would rather not even touch it. And another thing is, I think it deserves like lots of discussion, and people are overlooking it. Last year, ABA House of Delegates updated Model Rule 116. It's mandatory withdrawal. And they specifically said, if you detected even signs of money laundering, you shall withdraw. And basically, okay, if you have a client who doesn't want to be reported to FinCEN for whatever reason, undisclosed reason, do you have an obligation to withdraw under that updated rule? Because it might be a sign of money laundering. I think it's like a huge issue that we still need to figure out how to deal with. But while we are figuring it out, I'm not touching corporate formation at all.
I hear you. They make this also complicated. I understand why they do it, but yeah, it's just like, especially ABA pushing people to do mandatory withdrawals, because it's like a lawyer it's essentially we have to police ourselves in a certain way based on laws that aren't fully clear. So that does this service for the attorney-client relationship. But at the same time, yeah, they need a corporate attorney that knows the stuff and just focuses on that's best. Specializations in immigration law is just so important. So to avoid making mistakes like that, they hurt everybody.
But the thing is, in UK, if the lawyer detects some signs of money laundering, the lawyer must report it to law enforcement.
That's even worse.
In the United States, at least we do not have to report anything. However, I work with EB5, like I do lots of EB5, and my EB5 come from Russian-speaking countries. And like Russian passports are very toxic passports right now. And lots of compromised activities going on there, lots of money laundering exposed and corruption and all this stuff. So when people present some documents, for me, it's like, it's hard to tell. Are they just trying to do legitimate business, or they're trying to consolidate like debt liability or tax liability, or they're doing something illicit? I think I have like a good understanding of how the things are working in Russia, but not every attorney has that same level of knowledge, let's say. So, and it like probably the same for like Indian markets or Asian markets. They also have some indications that could be interpreted as a money laundering activity.
Well, I had to stop doing EB5s for Iran because of this. I just stopped EB5 in general because it was too complicated with the way the government is adjudicating it. But because of the sanctions, sending money from Iran for EB5 was just essentially, it looks like money laundering because there's no direct banking relationship. And now that same situation essentially with Russia, with the sanctions or the war. What is your experience? Have you had to deal with these kind of cases since the sanctions came about a year or two ago? And what do you do in these kind of scenarios? It's such a mess.
Well, I get approvals. So like knocking on a wood, I still get approvals. But it's only because I over document like I err on the side of over documenting. I over document everything, and I always tell client, if we do not explain something preventively, most certainly it will be interpreted against you. Yes, you might have like your Russian company transacting through Hong Kong, like wiring money to Cyprus, collecting money in some Caribbean country. Yes, you can do it legitimately, and we can show that it's a legitimate transaction, but we need to be open about it. So my filings are huge, like compared to other lawyers. I mean, they're like really huge. My record is 92 pounds, 92 pounds, like EB5 filing, like just on source of funds. I mean, we expose everything, and I guess clients appreciate it.
You know, the tracing the source of funds, especially, like, it frustrates the hell out of clients I've had, especially with doing E2s. It's so difficult because you're like, why do we need to give this? Even remember I had an F1 change of status for Russian nationals going from H1B to F1, and they were getting really frustrated with me. It's like, why do we have to give all this? I'm like, you're going to get an RFE no matter what. So, and then we got an RFE, we sent all the documents again, got denied, and it wasn't until appeal, till AEO finally was like, okay, I understand, like, documents were all good. The USCIS just was not reading them, but it's just so much paperwork. I think USCIS officers are kind of like, either I'll just approve it or I'll like, I just won't, because I don't feel like reading the whole thing. It's the mess that we deal with. And it's not even our fault. It's just because how complicated the systems become.
And Corporate Transparency Act is something that will complicate it even further. Because you need to report all that beneficial owners, even if they do not like have any immigration benefit in their profile. They're not applying for anything.
Yeah, it's a foreign partner. I don't want to mention the foreign partner. Like, you have to. It is what it is. Yeah.
It may be like somebody's mother-in-law, and he like just gave her like 25% of the share in the foreign business. We need to report her. And like people, they're like, I'm getting pushback on it. And right now, I mean, I'm not filing anything. I'm telling people like, okay, I'm not touching it. I am not like your registered agent for that purpose. So talk to corporate lawyer, talk to your like accountant, somebody. But what I did, I went to like that website for FinCEN, pulled out that 42 pages long PDF with instructions how to do that reporting, condensed it to 2 pages flowchart. And I sent that flowchart to all clients who I think might need it, with a huge disclaimer. This is not like a replacement for consultation, blah, blah, blah. I do not like file anything for you. So I sent that because if my clients are like your clients or my clients or any client, they will not read that 42 pages long PDF on how to file. And of
you're
course,
lucky to get the 2 pages, right? You're lucky to get 2 pages, right?
So they reach back to me and they say, okay, there is no way I will be providing like my foreign like driver's license if I do not like have any immigration benefit in this country. Why would I report myself to American government? I do not want to do it. And okay, yeah, you can like avoid filing it, but you will be facing very stiff penalties. It's like $500 per day if you do not file that. So, okay, you choose. Like, what do you want to do? I mean,
the amount of data collection the U.S. is doing on every single individual in the world because of these different immigration stuff in particular, and in the corporate stuff. And they're just trying to suck up and vacuum every single data piece, especially because these countries are like China, Russia, Iran. They don't share information, but if you have any interaction with the U.S., they could try to get all that info in. The travel ban had a lot to do with this. Like the so-called Muslim ban, they banned Nigeria because Nigeria is an information sharing, and then they turned it around and gave info. That's their big thing. Just try to vacuum as much data on everyone in the world, because everything's about data nowadays with the way technology is working.
And I think in EB5 adjudications, this is what we see right now. They use those adjudications to suck all information they can find, not necessarily related to that investor. I got a question regarding like the person sold his yacht. He sold the yacht, I mean, to unrelated third party. They requested information on that third party and on the brokerage that did the transaction. And they requested a list of all clients of the brokerage. I mean, there is no like international brokerage that would disclose it, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, like if somebody is buying a yacht, probably it's not in a personal capacity. It's like either through trust or attorney or somebody. So they wanted to know like who is behind all these transactions that my client even doesn't have any relationship to. I guess they're investigating a lot of things right now.
Yeah, especially when you deal with yachts and looking at oligarchs and who that list is. But it creates so much complications that it's kind of drives you crazy. It's like, let's just help these people, do a DS260 and get the personal and just let it go. But that's the nature of it. But the forms getting double long every time, like the I-485 getting longer, all these new forms constantly getting longer. And the filing fees got so much. For EB5, they really jacked up the filing fee for that,
It's like
didn't
almost 12,000, almost $12,000. Seriously? I mean, I understand these people have money, but like, why?
they? Yeah. Now, if
And
you got good service out of it, where they would actually adjudicate these in a timely fashion, you say, okay, at least they're getting better at this. But I bet timelines are still going to be the same. The nonsense RFE is going to be the same. Everything's going to be the same, probably.
yes, we get that stupid copy paste R fees that confuse like client's gender, name, like source of funds, citizenship,
Yeah.
everything. I mean, for my like $12,000, can I at least like have a decent R fee where you
Yeah.
do not refer to the client's spouse as a husband when like all documents indicate that he's married to a woman and has two minor children with her? Like, okay, at least like clean that up.
We
No,
had
they
a
cannot do.
I had a consultation with a guy because he didn't trust his lawyers. He came to me really angry, and the RFE said he was Iranian person, and it said the employer he was here on a student visa and an OPT, and it said, yeah, the beneficiary is here in the U.S., but he's in Iran. And why are you hiring someone in Iran to work here? Show us proof you have corporate registration in Iran. And we're like, where are they even coming up with that? We have they sent OPT paperwork. They know he's the F1. Like they said literally the guy's in Iran, and the same sentence is saying he's here, but he's in Iran. And it's like, which way is it? So they don't even read this stuff, and it scared the hell out of this guy. He thought his lawyer was bad. I'm like, no, that's USCIS being overwhelmed. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Um,
Like people saying that they're starting using artificial intelligence and it's going to be better. But I do not believe in it. Like, I do not believe that artificial intelligence will compensate for the lack of natural intelligence of this
yeah.
agency. Never.
I mean, the
So,
AI is always an offshoot of the person who made it. And if the person who's making it is making all these mistakes, the AI is just going to, it's like make a copy of a copy of a copy. It just gets lower quality each time. And
yeah.
that's the situation with AI. So Lee, thank you so much for coming on. There's a lot to talk about. I'd love to have you more on the show. Really quick, I look at your name. It says Natalia Polukhtin, aka Logo Filka. What is Logo Filka?
Oh, that's like a long story. I used to have a very, very popular Russian blog about immigration law, like about like jurisdictional issues, like complexities of the law, like fun facts, fun cases, stuff like that. I closed it when the war started because it
Mhm.
was like on a platform that is now governed by Russian authorities.
Yeah,
So I don't have it anymore. But this is where I made my blog name. And basically it relates to my first education, which is like philology. So it like switches things and was supposed to indicate my love for words and interpretations. So like this is how Russian people know me usually.
well, Russia is pretty much number one when it comes to literature in the world, with the writers and stuff. So I'm sure you've read all the great works. Have you read? Have you compared? Have you read the Brothers Karamazov, for example, in English and in Russian? And is there a loss in
Guilty as
translation?
charged.
I'm sorry.
Guilty as charged. It's funny, like how my kids they read Russian literature in translation, like in English, because they don't read Russian.
Yeah,
It's fun, like how I open the book and it's completely different. It's not my experience. It's like
yeah.
it's the same book, same author, but it's a different experience.
I mean, if the English is this good, I can't imagine how the Russian original is. It's one of those reasons to like Persian, Farsi or Persian poetry is amazing. I'm really blessed to have learned Farsi so I can read it and
Mhm.
translate. And they still love it, Rumi, all this stuff. But I'm like, you're still not getting the real. It's like 50% as good. And I'm like, it may be worth learning Russian just for the sake of being able to read this material because it's so magnificent.
Yeah, I totally agree. That's why my first book on immigration that I wrote, it was in Russian. I mean, it's still
Mhm.
kind of popular. Like people read it because it's funny thing about immigration law, how to like business immigration cases can go wrong and what we learn from it.
Yeah.
My second one will be in English. I will try.
Wonderful. So if people want to reach out to you, connect with you, what's the best way to do that?
uh, I prefer emails. I do things like old-fashioned way.
Yeah, me
Consult at
too.
globalpracticegroup.com.
Mhm. I'll say it again.
Well,
Consult at
consult.
localpracticegroup.com.
Yep.
Oh, that's easy
But
names
I
to
mean,
remember.
phone number is always a good option, 602-710-1328.
Wonderful. And a question I wanted to ask you is, you're in Arizona. They're opening up the bar there and testing it out in like the sandbox for non-lawyers, good stuff. Is that something you've looked into? It's an ethical thing too. And any guidance or experience you're seeing in Arizona with non-lawyers getting involved that you can share?
Nothing I can think of right now, but I will think about it.
Yeah, I'll have you on because Utah and Arizona are doing all these programs that non-lawyers get involved, and a lot of the tech companies now partnering up. So we're trying to see how that's going to affect the field. And eventually, they're going to open up the bar, and it's going to really probably decimate large chunks of law because people aren't business minded, and you have non-lawyer business people coming in. It could really and have money to do advertising, all this kind of stuff. So it's going to be a game changer. But we'll see how that works out. Natalia, thank you so
Well,
much.
yes, in Arizona, like non-legal people can hold a portion of the company. So basically, like we are allowing that ownership of people who
Yeah.
do not have license, they can be a part of a law firm, which is crazy. I don't know if I will give my
Yeah.
law firm to anyone.
We'll see how that works out. We'll have you on again. Thank you so much. Maybe stick on the line. I'll end the recording. But thank you, everyone, for listening to this episode. And reach out if you have questions for me or want to connect with us, either myself or from Natalia. I mean, we're always here to help and talk at least a little bit. All right. Bye, everybody.